So in total, we spent, hey people, welcome back to Bricks with Tips and welcome back to the Dubai Blueprint series. Yes, as you can see, we're back in office, and when we're in the office, it only means one thing: business. Yes, we are getting down to business with one of the most highly anticipated videos on this Dubai Blueprint series. I will be breaking down what it cost us to move our family of four out to Dubai. I'll also be going into detail on what we decided to pay a little bit more for and what we decided that we wanted to make a bit more affordable for ourselves. And then finally, I think it's very, very important for us to go through what it could like for another family of four that didn't decide to make some of the decisions that we made. Now, this video took a lot to make, putting ourselves and our figures out there, and all we ask from you is to like and subscribe to our YouTube channel. Just like and subscribe. If at this stage you already know that this video is going to help you massively, please do subscribe because we've got a lot more content coming, and subscriptions and likes keep the channel going. Now guys, this video in particular is just one part of the Dubai Blueprint series. A link should come on screen, or there's a link in the description where you can find a full Dubai series where we look at what it takes to get a job, transportation, picking your home, picking schools for the children. We're going to do ongoing costs as well, so a lot more there as well. Now, if you're new here, I'm going to do an introduction in a little bit, but if you're old here, you'll know that Antoinette and I are very conscious about the work that we do. And just a quick disclaimer to say that when we go into these numbers, for some, they may seem huge. For others, this may be like the fee that you use to service your car. Like, everything is relative, right? But nonetheless, this is an aspirational channel, and we always remind you that money is just a tool that can help you get to happiness. Seek happiness first. So if you're new here, my name's Tayo Guntonode. I'm a TV presenter, content creator, property investor, and co-founder of Bricks with Tips, which is a platform I run with my wife, Antoinette. And we formed Bricks with Tips to help you guys get better with your money and achieve your property goals. We recently made a move to Dubai, and we wanted to make videos that we wish that we could watch when we moved to Dubai as well. So that's why we made a Dubai Blueprint series where you can just watch all of the series and kind of understand from our perspective what it was like moving to Dubai. So once again, important to note that this is from our perspective, and we have a family of four. If you are solo or a couple moving to Dubai, you can still learn from this video because the rationale is relatively similar. You'll just look at different properties, you might discount school fees, and so on and so forth. Guys, wait until the end because I'm going to say the upfront cost that surprised me the most. So guys, important to note that when I was moving to Dubai, I was using a spreadsheet to track how much I was spending up front, basically. This spreadsheet is available for you guys to download. Just go to the description and it'll be there. And you'll also join our mailing list by downloading it as well. So guys, first up, rent. So we decided to rent in Dubai as a family of four. We moved from a home in the UK where we had 4 bedrooms across 3 floors in a terraced property. There was 2 bathrooms in the property as well. I'll go through our train of thought initially, just so you can understand where we were coming from. So initially we were thinking to ourselves that, look, the girls are 2 and 4. They can share a bedroom if the bedroom is big enough, because they shared a big bedroom in the UK as well. So that's 2 bedrooms that we need, basically. And then we wanted a 3rd bedroom. We wanted the 3rd bedroom to either be a guest room or a study. And then we also knew that we wanted a nanny's room as well. So we were looking at apartments, first of all. We liked the idea of an apartment. We decided not to go for an apartment because there's not that many apartments that are 3 beds and have a nanny's room as well. It's also worth noting as well that we could have lived a lot closer to downtown and Business Bay. We could have looked in areas like Meydan, or we could have looked at some beachfront areas near Jumeirah and so on and so forth that are a lot more expensive. The reason that we didn't is that we didn't feel that we needed to. We kind of had the idea that we're moving to Dubai for a lot of the things that Dubai has to offer, but Dubai can still offer that to us in our little bubble if we're 16, 18 minutes away. Now, what I want to do is go into huge detail on this because we went into this in detail on our housing video on how to pick your house in Dubai. We looked at 3-bedroom apartments a bit closer in, and we decided that we're going to go for a townhouse / a villa. So we're looking at 3-bedroom apartments / villas. Now, we actually went for a 4-bedroom in the end, and this is mainly because of this, right? We needed 1 bedroom for ourselves. We needed 1 bedroom for the kids. I'm self-employed and I didn't want my dining table to be my office basically. So we felt that we needed a dedicated study just to be as productive as possible. So we did that. And then the fourth reason is quite interesting, right? Antoinette and I are very big on our faith and we're very big on serving. And we felt that we were called to serve through facilitating close friends and family that want to come out here to visit or are thinking about making the move as well. So we kind of got a not purpose built, but a dedicated permanent guest room for people to come and stay basically. And that's why we got a 4-bedroom plus a maid's room as well. Anyways, upfront costs. That came to a total of 200,000 dirham. Now, on top of that, when moving to Dubai, you're going to have to pay a deposit, which you'll get back, of course, when you leave, but the deposit is 5%. Then you also pay a broker fee, which is another 5%, so another 10,000 dirham. So in total, just to get started, we paid 220,000 dirham. Now, guys, it's important to note that when you move to Dubai and you're paying rent, you can pay your rent in a number of different ways. The default is 1 check. Other options is 2 checks, so the rent's split into 2 payments. 1 in January, 1 in June, if you came in January, right? 2 separate checks. 4 checks is available, 6 checks is available, and you can also get 12 checks. But just bear in mind, when you start getting to 4 checks and onwards, so 4 checks, 6 checks, and 12 checks, you'll find that you won't be paying 200,000 dirham, you might be paying 220, 230, or whatever it may be. Now, when we came to Dubai, we were intending to do 2 checks. So 100,000 at once and 100,000 at another time. We actually decided to pay 1 check just so it's out of the way. We had the funds there readily available and we knew that we'd have to pay at some point later anyway. So we just said that we pay 1 check. So in total, when you look at the rent, the deposit and the agent fee, the broker fee, we paid 220,000 upfront in that procedure. Please do keep watching because we'll always give an example of an alternative, what someone could do. The next is your Ajari. Now, if I remember correctly, it's about 250 dirham. We paid about 300 dirham so our agent could do it for us. So they registered our Ajari for us. Ajari is like your tenancy agreement that gets registered at the official place. The final thing we've got here to do with housing is your DIWA deposit. DIWA is your utilities effectively. So like your electricity, drainage, sewage, gas if you've got that in your property as well. Now to initiate your DIWA, so to turn your water on, turn your electricity on, you need to pay a deposit for everything, right? And the deposit for a villa is 4,000 dirham with a 130 dirham initiation fee. So we paid 4,130 dirham. So for us, that brings housing up to 224,430 dirham. Now, it's worth noting for most people, housing is going to be the most expensive cost. Let's look into what that could be for someone that's moving over. Now, in these examples, I'm also going to do a family of 4, but I'm going to assume that it's 2 people working a corporate job, effectively. So, in actual fact, you don't need a 4-bedroom villa. You could get something a bit closer, which might be better for you if you're working. I like Meydan as an area if you're working, not too close, not too far, decent price. And you don't need a villa. You can get a ground floor apartment with some good garden space and so on and so forth. So for another option, I'm going to look at this 3-bedroom apartment in Meydan in Azizi Riviera, which is currently on the market. It can be rented for 135,000 dirham at the time of recording. Now, guys, it's very possible if you negotiate well to get 4 checks, basically. So in this example as well, I've broken down that annual rent into 4 checks, basically. So your first payment and what will actually be your upfront cost is 33,750 dirham. Remember, your next check is going to be due the next quarter, but that's basically your ongoing costs. I'm more familiar or closer to what you typically experience in places like the UK and the US where you pay rent monthly. Now, next up, agent fee and your deposit. Now, this is going to be 5% of the annual rent, not of the check that you're putting down. So that's going to stay at relatively a high figure. So that's going to be 13,500 for the agent fee and 13,500 for the deposit. In this example, I've put that you might do your Ajari yourself, which is 250 dirham. And then finally, your deal deposit on an apartment is cheaper than it is on a villa. On an apartment, it's 2,000 plus the 130 dirham activation fee. So that comes up to 2,130 dirham. So all in all, housing could look like 63,130 dirham. Now, it could be less. I don't think I pinched the pennies on this one. I think that's just like a 3-bedroom apartment in Dubai can be lovely for a family of 4. very, very spacious. You could take a room each. You could have a room, or if the kids share a room, you could have a room for a nanny, for a study. It gives you a lot of options, basically. And then remember, with apartments, there's loads of amenities. You can have a community with things like football courts, basketball courts, paddle courts, tennis courts. There's probably going to be a swimming pool and a gym in your building as well. At this point, it's probably worth noting, guys, if you need assistance helping finding somewhere where to rent or to buy, you can fill out the form in our description. We have people on ground that can help you. So simply just reach out, fill out the form, or send us a WhatsApp. Cool. Next up, furnishing. Now, I'm going to start with what you could do with furnishing first, because I'm going to talk through our furnishing as well, if you just want to get a bit of our rationale. But if you just want the figures, you could get started on a 3-bedroom apartment furnishing at 25,000. Remember, we have the Dubai Blueprint series, so make sure you go watch the housing video if you want to know the sort of places you can go to furnish your property. I'm going to talk through our furnishing as well. So our furnishing, we've just kind of begun, if that makes sense. Remember, when we're talking about furnishing as well, we're not talking about fully furnishing the house. We're solely talking about what it takes to get started. So by get started, I mean beds and kitchen appliances and so on and so forth, basically. So because of that, in this video, I'm only including things that we got in the first 10 days after we arrived in Dubai. So 10 days after we arrived in Dubai and before, because some stuff got delivered before we arrived in Dubai. Hopefully that makes sense. So this is just what allows us to be functional. So I can just go through it here, and I'll put some bits on the screen so you can see what we did. So we did an Amazon order, right? An Amazon order before we actually arrived in Dubai. And that was ordering things like small appliances, things like your Hoover, mop, cleaning stuff. What else did we get from Amazon? Kitchen appliances, kitchen tools, pots and stuff like that. And we spent 8,641 dirham on Amazon, amazon.ae. Next up, electronics and appliances. So this is like bigger appliances, your fridge, your oven, dishwasher, washing machine. Things like, I think we might have got like a printer off there and stuff like that. So all of the big electronics, we used a website called DG Sharaf. And we spent 12,268 dirham. Next up, all of our beds and sofa came up to 15,000 dirham. Now, bear in mind, with the beds and sofa, we only got we got 3 beds in the house: guest room bed, children's bed, and our bed. So important to note. Little fixtures and fittings like lighting and stuff like that, we spent about 5,000 dirham. And this is interesting. We spent 400 dirham on Dubizzle. Now, the reason why I put this in here as well is because, guys, I like to get a deal. I actually find it fun. So I'm part of the group in my community, which is a buy and sell group. And obviously, I'm only going to buy certain things from that group. So I use it as a networking opportunity as well. So I've met some great people through it as well. And the thing about Dubai, you'll find that everybody's doing something. So just meeting people is really, really good as well. But to give you context of the stuff that I bought through there, I bought this desk through there. I think I got this desk for 120 dirham. And this is one of those, one of those desks. I also bought a filing cabinet. So nothing personal, nothing you know what I'm saying? So a filing cabinet, I think a walk-in pad, and this desk and this chair. That's all I bought off Dubizzle, but Dubizzle and the groups. So yeah, I really enjoy getting the deals off them kind of places. But guys, I say all of that to say, you can furnish your house on those costs. Other costs that people might be interested in, we spent about 6,000 dirham on our dining table and chairs, and then we also spent about 5,000 dirham on our media wall, but we won't include that for this calculation. So guys, yeah, that's how much we spent, but you can do it on, I believe, about 25,000 dirham to get started. It's important to note what's missing though. Turfing your lawn is not included in that. Putting out garden furniture is not included in that. Stuff like your plants and artwork and other bits and pieces that give the house character is not included in that cost. But this is an upfront cost calculation to get you functional. Next up, visas. Now, you guys already know I've been through the visa process in the Dubai Blueprint. I'm going to say this all the time, so I'm not going to go into what it's like to get a visa in detail. It's in that video. Let's talk about the costs. So my golden visa cost 7,600 dirham, right? That's a 10-year visa. Antoinette's business visa cost 18,600 dirham. Now that's simply because we actually got the business license that came with a free visa, which is going to be, it's called a visa for life because it's renewed so long as the business exists. A visa for both of the kids cost us 9,340 dirham, and that's a 10-year visa for each of the kids. Now, in the process of getting the visas, which we went through in the other video, we had to legalize their birth certificate, which cost about 1,109 dirham. Had to pay for a solicitor's stamp, which cost about 300 dirham. Sorry, it was in pounds. So about 300 dirham. And then we had to pay MOFA, which is kind of like a department here, to attest the girl's birth certificate. I believe that was 1,000 dirham. That one is a little bit shaky. So yeah. Now what could that look like for another family? I said an example, I'm going to be using a family of 4, both adults employed, so they don't have to pay for their own visas and save a lot of costs there. Family visa would be roughly the same, so I've just put 9,340 dirham, same as mine, and I've put all of the other costs in the same as mine, so legalizing birth certificate, solicitor stamp, and MOFA. So ours comes up to a total of 37,949 dirham, but a family of 4s, otherwise if they're both employed, could come in at 11,509 dirham. Hopefully that makes sense. Let's go on. Next up, health insurance. Now, health insurance is one that could vary in price massively. The way they do it is kind of like, depending on the hospitals that you want to attend, a lot of health insurance has like an excess. So it's like you'll pay an annual fee for health insurance, but you'll pay 20% for all of the medication that you get, or 20% of all of these procedures and so on and so forth. But there are ones where you don't pay anything up front. So there's a lot of variations. Anyways, we got what we think is a good policy, right? At 23,000 dirham for the year. So it's got good hospitals attached to it. I think, funnily enough, I put it into ChatGPT. I said, should I go for the one that has no excess, or should I go for the one that has 20% excess? You pay the first 20%. Now, the reason why I use ChatGPT for stuff like that, because it really rationalizes it and said that unless you're going to go to the hospital X amount of times per year, it would probably be better to go for the cheaper policy where you pay a 20% excess on every blah, blah, blah you take. Hopefully that makes sense. And God forbid, none of us are going to hospital frequently. Anyways, important to note as well, Antoinette has a job, so her job covers her health insurance. This health insurance is just for me and both of my daughters. So with that being said, if we're looking at another family that's going to have 2 people employed, their company will cover at least their health insurance. So they just need to do their children's health insurance. And I've just put that in at 12,000 dirham basically. Could be more, could be less, but I've put that in to kind of give some assistance and some guidance. Next up, getting your stuff over here has to be included in an upfront cost. Now, ours was a bit funny. We spoken a lot of times about how we got our stuff over here. We holidayed here and brought some stuff, came here as a family holiday in Christmas again, brought some stuff, and then we intentionally booked business flight tickets for the whole family because it allowed us to get a lot of luggage included when we finally made the move. So we used a mixture of points and cash when we came over. So we spent about 10,000 dirham on flights, 10,000 dirham or there or thereabouts, basically, on flights on the way here. Now, we are aware that many people will not do that, basically. And we are aware that a lot of people will ship their stuff over. And the shipping costs we've got from one of our friends, because we have no experience shipping, so I went and asked one of our friends, and one of our friends said that they spent 15,000 dirham or so shipping their stuff over. So important to note. Guys, if you want to ship, just remember it can cost, it can take a little bit of time, should I say. So be aware of that as well. Right, next up, school fees. So if you've got children, 2 kids, this is what the school fees could look like. Now, both of our kids are in nursery. Sometimes school is a tiny bit more expensive, but we'll just give our example of nursery. It's not that far off, and it depends on where they go as well. So School fees comes with a number of fees, so I'll break down what they are. Registration fee was 1,000 dirham. Medical fee was 1,000 dirham. Deposit for school, 1,000 dirham. Uniform, 250 dirham. And then what happens a lot of the time is that your second child might get a discount. So Mia got a discount and her registration fee was 900 dirham. Medical fee, 900 dirham. Deposit, 900 dirham. Uniform was the same price at 250 dirham. And then finally, guys, the term fees. So the girls are actually, when we first got started, they're doing more hours now, so it's more expensive, but this is about upfront costs. So when they first got started, they started straight away, but we wanted them to ease into it. So they were doing 8 till 12:30. And that was costing us, and then we had to pay for the first term, 8,910 dirham for Olivia and 8,019 dirham for Mia. Now, guys, we've put the same costs for a family of 4 moving over. The only difference we've made is that when it comes to term fees, if you ask, some of the nurseries understand you have a lot of upfront costs. So they might allow you to break down the term fees into 3 payments. If a term spans over 3 months, they might allow you to pay monthly. So what we've done is that we've broken down our term fees, divided it by 3, because that's what your monthly cost is going to be, basically. Then hopefully after that, you'll have a job and that will be your ongoing costs. But in effect, that breaks that down. So the term fees are 2,970 or 2,670. So in effect, that breaks down the term fees. So they're 2,970 and 2,673 for people that are moving. So total school fees upfront cost for us was 23,129 dirham. And what your total cost could be is 11,843 dirham. Next up, super important, internet and mobile. So we did our internet with Etisalat, and our upfront fees were about 450 dirham. And we got 2 mobile SIMs, which we paid annually for, which falls into upfront costs as well. So that came up to about 2,257 dirham. Now, obviously, there are different people you can get your internet with that have different startup costs. You've got Virgin, Do, so on and so forth. But we're just going to mirror the costs. So a family of 4 would probably be paying thereabouts or similar to us on that front, basically. Now, guys, the cost that surprised us the most, and it wasn't a surprise because it was a huge amount. It was a surprise because we did so much before that stage. And when we got to this stage, it was like, it's enough. Honestly, just blow for blow, back and forth, give and take. That's what it felt like. It just felt like we were spending a lot at this point, right? And it's weird. It's not like it's a lot in, I don't know how to explain the a lot, but it's like the frequency maybe, or like everything that needs to get done, you pay. And it's super, super efficient, but you pay for it. And I think that's what Dubai is about. Anyways, the final one is getting your driver's license converted. I think as well, because we didn't expect to pay. Last we checked, it was free, but like 2 months before we moved, they added a fee to it. So you both have to do an eye test first. And if I remember correctly, there was 150 dirham each. And then what we paid for 2 driver's licenses is 1,740 dirham. So guys, that concludes all of the main costs, upfront costs when moving to Dubai. A few other things that you might want to think about, which I didn't put in here. So things like flights, mail redirection, cleaning and clearing of your old house and your new house, maybe an initial grocery cost, maybe a car cost if you need a car straight away, maybe the cost of setting up security cameras in your home, maybe the cost of having a nanny straight away, maybe your meet and greet services at the airport, all these little bits and pieces that you may need to think about when moving over. Now, guys, to conclude, all of these costs can vary. It depends on your choices. You may get a villa or an apartment that's part furnished and you don't have to spend any furniture costs. You may be a teacher, so you don't actually have to pay for education for your children, and so on and so forth. Now, before we go into the grand reveal, just to remind you that we have a form that you can download and it allows you to track your upfront costs in Dubai, similar to what we did, which is super, super important and super, super helpful as well. So the interesting thing is that I actually haven't calculated how much it costs in total. I don't really like to calculate how much I spend when I know I'm spending a decent amount, to be quite honest with you. It's the same thing with like when I'm going on holiday and doing maximum enjoyment. I will never come home and tally up how I spent. Now think what you might about that. I have budgets and stuff like that, but you know, but I've tidied it up for you guys today. So in total, we spent 375,564 dirham. Now, guys, let us know in the comments below what you think about that amount. I actually thought that we spent more. To be quite honest with you, it felt like more when I was spending it. But I think one of the reasons it felt like more is that I spent a bit in transfers as well. So, guys, make sure that you've got an efficient way of transferring your money from pounds to dirhams. Let me know how that figure makes you feel. Is that what you expected? Is that not what you expected as well? Guys, remember, a big part of our cost is the fact that we paid one check as well. One check was, once again, 220,000 of that 350,000 or so dirhams. So very, very important to note that. So what another family could end up spending is 143,229 dirham. Hopefully you found this video super useful. Let me know what you think about the figure that another family could spend, basically. Does that make you feel like it's affordable, attainable? Does that give you hope? Please, guys, as well, make sure that you share this video with someone as well. If you use social media, put it on your story, share the thumbnail, just so other people can experience it as well, because we wish that we had these figures and it allowed us to plan. Gone out of our way to make this video for you so we can do that as well. So please do share. Guys, also check out the Dubai Blueprint once again. Hopefully you've enjoyed this video. I know it's been highly anticipated, and we'll see you on the next installment of the Dubai Blueprint. Peace.